Yes, with a trailblazing woman sat next to me, it is none other than Allie Kline, of course, Chief Marketing Officer for AOL, but also Head of Makers, the conference that we're currently at. And it's a relatively new brand for you. It's all about leadership, women in leadership, storytelling of women in leadership. How's the brand doing for you?
It's great. It's great. The timing of what's going on around us on a global basis around women's issues, but particularly the opportunities that women and girls face. There's been quite a lot of attention and energy put into makers. And then also the women here today. We have over 500 female leaders from organizations around the world, some of the top women in their field, really working and thinking about an agenda for the balance for the going forward.
And the idea is an agenda rather than just a discussion and a debate. It's taking action points forward. What sort of bold action points can be enacted right here, right now, to change the current balance?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are several commitments that leaders can make. Number one, first and foremost, is the talent pool and the recruiting pool you bring into organizations, right? So making sure that that's not only filled with a nice balance of men and women, but also that it's diverse. And so that is a really important factor we have in our own business success, right? And that many companies see. There's a ton of data to literally prove that your business will be exponentially more successful the more balanced that workforce is. And what tends to happen in organizations is women do a great job of getting into an organization and into middle management. And then the growth from there to the executive level really cuts off. And so a lot of the work done here is what type of policies, what type of programs, what type of mentorship need to take place in order to help women move from that middle all the way into the executive spot.
I like the fact that you bring up data there, because in your role as Chief Marketing Officer as well, you really said the companies that get ahead at the moment are those that act on data, that get nuanced data. Are companies analysing the overwhelming amount of data that's coming in and able to respond to their own community as well?
Yeah, some are. I think that the ones that are clearly making great strides, right? As a consumer with so much coming at you these days, whether it's from media, social, internet, it's constantly surrounding us. And so the more precise, the more targeted, the more personalized a communication can be, the more valuable it is to a consumer, and the deeper and stronger that brand relationship can be, right? So that is what everybody is working towards. It is not easy. It is not. It is not something that has been around for a long time. So the rules are just being written around how we should do that. But when we do it well and we do it right, like here, we see explosion in consumer loyalty around those brands.
And there's three key pillars that you very often focus upon, whether it be, of course, the likes of video, it's mobile, it's also content.
Yes.
How is AOL, through its various brands, whether it be TechCrunch, whether it be Engadget, whether it be Makers, ensuring that you hit all three things?
Yeah, so video is the pillar, right? So all of those things are horizontals across all of our brand. I think the most important threshold is that notion of content and brand. So whether it's, you mentioned TechCrunch, Engadget, Makers, HuffPost is another big brand of ours, as well as Build, which we just launched in a street-level studio in New York, which is fantastic. Those are brands that are all anchored in a quality relationship between consumers that has a set of content standards that is unprecedented, right? So we don't believe in a lack of an editorial voice. We don't believe that journalism should go away. We believe deeply in the investment of that premier content and that storytelling content, which leads us to video. And one of the biggest trends we see in video today is live. We're actually live streaming the Makers Conference today on makers.com, so all of your viewers can log into that. But live is a huge trend we're seeing, again, not just for the sake of having live content broadcasts, but actually for having brand-associated, valuable, editorially driven content broadcast to the world in its most powerful medium, which is a video medium, right? You all know that more than ever. And then the last piece is just accessibility. Consumers are mobile devices, so the notion that you would ever do anything that's not mobile first going forward feels antiquated.
Having just gone through the earnings season of Facebook and Google, these are two companies that dominate that space when it comes to mobile, when it comes to video. How do you ensure that AOL becomes the number 3 player here?
I think it comes down to brand. So certainly there's a scale play, and we've been working very hard on that, as you're aware, with Verizon. Obviously, that's been a big, boost to our strategy. But the brand piece, right? Google's very anchored in search. Facebook is very anchored in social, and we believe you'll know us as being incredibly anchored in brand, right?
Before I come back to the Makers element of things, we all still waited with bated breath on Yahoo, of course.
Yes.
Yahoo, it was meant to bring in a lot of web users and therefore maybe an e-commerce platform for advertising. Is that goal still there? Are you frustrated by the time frame here?
No, I think whenever you do transactions of this size, there are always unexpected things. And Yahoo's doing a great job of working through that process. And so, we've got a lot going on here, so we don't spend a lot of time worrying about how long that's going to take.
You sound optimistic about Yahoo. What about optimistic about females within leadership? You are indeed one of them. When you walk away from this particular conference, what do you want people to take with them, do you think?
I want them to feel responsible. You know, I think it's one thing, as you mentioned earlier, to consume information. It's another thing to assume responsibility for taking that information and doing something actionable with it. So whether that's going back, in my case, to the thousands of women that work at AOL and inside of all of our brands, and making sure that they experience at least, a significant scope of what I've experienced. It's lighting up and putting pressure on the other female leaders inside AOL, whether that's, we have a general counsel who's a woman, a CFO who's a woman. Lydia Polgreen from the New York Times just joined as our new editor-in-chief at HuffPost. She's a powerhouse woman. We have a woman, Suzanne Lindbergh, who's the head of our Build brand. We're very fortunate to have a lot of female leaders inside the company, and it's my responsibility to make sure they take that same responsibility.